Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and as always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
Hello. Well, you're adjusting this shit.
Hell, yeah.
Don't mind the noise. Okay.
Would have been good to do before we started,
Probably.
but that's fine. Thank you guys for stopping by, watching us, listening to us, whichever way you get us into your ear holes. We do appreciate it.
And once we get the OnlyFans jerking off to us.
Yeah, we want the Nerds with Friends up inside you. You can check out all of our information at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com, or you can hop on over to patreon.com/nerdswithfriends if you want to become a supporter of the show. We do appreciate that. And of course, if you're on the YouTubes, like and subscribe. Click the little bell icon to make sure you're notified when new episodes come out every single week, where we have topical discussions about things like Squid Game.
And comment, too. We like reading that shit.
Yeah, we do like your comments, so make sure you drop one of those. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Squid Game today, the Korean, horror drama.
Yeah, I saw that one of the genres was horror. I was like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's like psychological thriller, I would say, is more apt of a description. But we will be talking about that after the break. So if you haven't seen it, what the fuck are you doing? It's on trend to be the most watched Netflix show of all time. So get out there and watch it, because we're going to be talking about it. But before we do that, we should talk some nerdy confessions, where we confess the things that make us nerds. Christian, what makes you a nerd?
I've been taking for sleep, my nerdy confessions, for sleep I've been taking this, I don't know if it's melatonin. That thing.
Melanin is
Melanin?
Melanin causes coloration in your skin.
That's true.
Melatonin helps you sleep.
Those M words fuck me up. So anyway, I've been taking that, and I've been having weird fucking dreams. Like, I know, like, every now and then I kind of twitch.
Yeah.
But I was, like, in and out of a dream, and I don't remember it altogether, but I believe I was one of the Avengers, and the Avengers were fighting Superman, and, like, they were all, like, had him, they were all holding him, and I was like, someone swing, someone fucking hit him, like, he's gonna do his eye thing in any second, I was like, fuck, and then, like, I couldn't communicate, like, I don't know, I couldn't get my words across, so I swung to try to punch him, and then I woke up and I actually swung in bed. And
Nice.
I stopped myself before
I knock Sabrina out.
Yeah, I stopped right before, like, connected, and I was like, holy shit.
And she just wakes up, you're like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like when Kylo Ren wakes up and sees Luke Skywalker about to murder him with a lightsaber.
I caught myself right before connecting. She didn't notice. She didn't wake up. And I was like,
you better watch out.
Next
time I won't stop.
It's like, why'd you swing me? I don't know. What'd you do? You must have done something. Yeah. And then that same night, like, I was having another dream where, like, there were zombies, and someone had someone by, like, the foot, and no one was doing anything about it. I'm like, dude, I got to do something. So I, like, ran, and, like, I kicked the zombie in the face, and then I actually kicked in bed. Like, I did it again. And that time she noticed, and she's like, what happened? I was like, and I was asleep. I was like, I'll just tell you in the morning. I just went back to sleep.
Nice.
So, I don't know.
Sounds like you were having very combative dreams.
With this, I don't know. I'm still taking them because sometimes I have trouble sleeping. So it's like, oh, I'll just see what happens.
Yeah. That's
so
why.
If she wakes up with a black eye or bruises, we're going to know why.
Yeah, sure. That's why you're crazy dreams. Wink, wink. Yeah, I don't take melatonin because of the same thing. Like, I get really funky dreams. And then, like, if I wake up from one of those dreams in the middle of the night, I have a hard time going back to sleep. So it's like defeats the purpose.
No, I could definitely go back to sleep. The only time is like it's an 8-hour timed one. So sometimes I wake up before the 8 hours. When I do, I'm just like, oh yeah, I gotta even get moving. But it's like hard to move, and
yeah, very very hard to move when you're on those things.
But it's been fun for me.
It's really really cool. My nerdy confession, I'm actually going to be trying a new game tonight, shortly after this podcast.
Board game. Your silly golf game that you've been playing.
Side nerdy confession. I've been playing a lot of PGA Tour 2K21.
Yeah, too busy to play Call of Duty with this guy over here. I'm like, hey, you want to play Call of Duty? Oh,
sorry, I'm on the back nine. I can't.
I don't know what that means, but whatever.
Yeah, it's free on PlayStation Plus. So if you're a PlayStation Plus member, go get PGA Tour 2K21. You can design your own golf courses, which is really cool. and then you can play through a career and like unlock sponsorships and stuff.
You have to pick your own caddy?
Actually, there is no caddies at all, which I think is kind of a weird missed opportunity in the game. But like
all these racist white guys that always just like caricature for like a black dude or something.
That's probably why they don't do it. I made my guy look all like me, so he's got a big old beard and stuff, and he's wearing shorts with like flame socks, and yeah, I'm working on a sponsorship deal right now with Adidas because
nice.
I like to rep the 3 stripes. But that's not my nerdy confession. My nerdy confession is I'm starting a new game tonight called Warhammer Warcry. So this will actually be my first official game of any Warhammer game.
Did you paint the minis?
So I found out that we were going to play this like on maybe Sunday. So I have not painted them yet. I've base coated them, so they're all one color, which is whatever. But they're all built, which is a pretty good achievement. But basically, what this is it's in the Age of Sigmar universe, which means it's not science fiction; it's fantasy. So, like
orcs
and
elves,
I mean, there are
dwarves.
orcs, goblins, and elves all in 40k too, but they're like using like swords and crossbows, not like bolter pistols and spaceships. You know what I'm saying? And they're flying on eagles and shit instead of jet fighters. But essentially, what it is it's a smaller version of Warhammer. So it's not you're not doing like army versus army. You're doing a squad versus a squad. So the most models that you can use on your team is 15. So you don't. It's not like doing a full army where you might have to do 50, 60 models before you can play like a legit game. So it's a good entry point into the gaming situation. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to try it out. I'm going to be playing the Stormcast Eternals, which are basically Space Marines, but in fantasy. They have like cool, bulky armor and stuff. And these ones all have like big ass crossbows and swords and shit. So I'm fucking down.
Nice.
But it should be pretty fun. I'm excited to learn. Though it does mean that I had to spend. I think I spent $200 on. It wasn't all for me. I think 40 of that was a book that I bought for one of my friends who's also playing it. But I had to buy 2 new books, and then only to realize I didn't really have to buy one of those books, that's kind of
get you.
They got me. Though it'll be good to have for later. And then I bought a kit of models. One of the cool things about it is you don't have to buy their little, prepackaged model packs for the game. If you have Age of Sigmar minis already, you can build a squad or a war band, as they call it, out of existing models. And they, you just look up the point values that they have for them, and then you can play with those. So it's kind of cool. You can you can kind of build up with little odds and ends that you may have already. Maybe you don't have a full army, but maybe you've painted like 8 or 9 of a certain faction. You can use those in this game, which is kind of cool. There's also a 40k or sci-fi edition of it called Kill Team, which I would also like to play because I definitely have enough.
I have a feeling when you color them, it's all going to be like Confederate flag stuff,
Why would you?
I don't know.
This is a little telling, but as a high schooler, I definitely had a Confederate flag before I really learned what it was all about.
And no one beat your ass before it?
No, I hung out with white kids.
There you
go. Yeah, I guess I should explain myself a little bit. I was a huge Leonard Skinner fan, right? Who was a big Southern...
I used to be really racist.
Well, first of all, Leonard Skinner's not racist. They're just from the South. They're from Florida. They're misguided Christian. They always had the Confederate flag. And then I love the Dukes of Hazzard, which famously, like their car, the General Lee, named after General Robert E. Lee for the Confederate Army, had one on top. So I just thought it was cool. And
it's hard to imagine that they made a movie with
they made multiple movies.
No, but they
made like 2, I think. 2
with what's in Johnny Knoxville. Just thinking about it, it's different times.
Different times.
I don't think today that shit would happen.
There's a lot of movies that wouldn't be made today. In today's PC culture. I guess before we go to break, we should talk briefly about Dave Chappelle.
Briefly?
I mean, we'll see how far.
We'll get into it.
We'll see how long this goes. So Dave Chappelle's newest and presumably last special for a minute, as he says on the special, called The Closer, came out on Netflix, and it's stirring up some controversy. What did you think of the special, Christian?
Okay, so I feel like he's not as funny as he used to be. I wasn't laughing as much as I normally laugh at his specials. Just thinking back, like when he was younger, like all of those were just fucking bangers. Like they were amazing. I kind of felt like some of it was just for shock, like not even so much for the laughs. Like, but then he did touch on some stuff. Where it's like, well, I can't really argue that point. I'm trying to think. One of the ones that kind of made me laugh, and I don't know if this is one of the ones that they found offensive, when he says some guy came up and said, "Hey man, they're coming after you." Or he's like, "They coming after you." He's like, "One day or multiple day?" And I was like, "All right, that's kind of funny." Like I don't feel like it's like making fun like so much. It's just like, hey, like I could see the humor in it, but there were just some stuff where I was just like, oh, that's just kind of like for shock value. But it did have some stuff. And again, I'm 20 minutes left into the ending, but
yeah. So you'll see once you end it, kind of there's an overarching message that he's trying to convey in this, and I guess it doesn't really ruin it because there's still jokes in between. But kind of what he's saying is that, he's saying that he gets all this heat from, the LGBTQ community, which, let's be real, he doesn't say a bunch of great things about them. He always tries to preempt it by saying, look, like, I love everybody. And then he goes and says a bunch of jokes, which, if you're easily offended, you're going to get offended, and that's fine. But what he says at the end of this is that, black people have been treated like shit for like 200 years in this country, right? And he feels that they're trying to override the pain of his people who are still, killed on the daily basis by, police and, have like all sorts of institutionalized racism, and the fact that he tells jokes and people are getting so up in arms, and that gets more publicity than what's happening to his entire race of people. That's what kind of gets him upset.
I mean, it's an interesting point. So what I take from it were like when he makes fun of the LGBTQ community. My take is like, well, if you want to be accepted as normal or not, I don't want to say normal, but like one of us, you got to be able to accept that people are going to make jokes about you. It's either at times you're normal, which he makes fun of like what he considers like everyday people, like
right.
So this is what's normal, like let's not treat some people as though they're better than so that's kind of the way I took it, whether that's the way he means it or not.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So like the idea that now obviously we're not part of that community. We're about as cis male as it gets. I think that's the correct terminology, right?
I guess
just like a dude, just a regular old dude.
What do you mean regular?
I'm just saying it, regular.
You're gonna get it fucking canceled.
Whatever. I don't care. Just heterosexual men. That's what I'm trying to say. Heterosexual men who identify as men, like banging ladies.
Got it.
That lane, if you will. I forgot my point because I was qualifying ourselves.
No,
I get it. Yes. So like, I don't know if this is the correct perspective, but I would assume that people in the LGBTQ and however many inclusive letters you want to go past that, they want to be accepted as, regular people, because they are regular people. They're part of society. They want to be accepted for who they are. And, but I think what you're saying is that Dave Chappelle thinks that they want that, but they also don't want anybody to say anything bad about them.
Yeah, it was kind of the point where he was saying where, and this is how I came, at least where my thought process was. I don't remember the premise at the beginning of the story, but where he says like someone had said something. No, they came up to record him when he was out with his wife.
Yeah,
and then he went up to the big dude, the biggest dude there, and was just like, "What the hell are you doing?" And it was a big old white, huge gay guy, and he's like, and he was a minority until it didn't benefit him. And then he called the police where he was like, like now he's just a white male. So he's like, well, they can interchange back and forth. Where it's kind of like, well, either you're regular or, you're different. And that's kind of at least what I felt like he was saying. But again, I'm not part of the community.
Right. Well, I remember. It was a large black guy who was a gay guy. Because he said, you're only black until, the cops start coming. And then you're part of the LGBTQ community.
I thought it was reversed. Pretty sure it was a white guy. Where he was just like, he's a minority, and now that he wants the cops, he can be the white guy, and like he doesn't have to worry about it.
We could be getting it wrong, but either way, I mean, the sentiment is the same. You jump from community to community depending on what suits you,
right? When it benefits you. So,
and yeah, I think if you want to be accepted, as part of normal society, you got to face the fact that people make fun of people, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be for the way you dress, the way you talk, the way, the car you drive. Like, it's ingrained into human nature to poke fun at other people, especially when you're a stand-up comedian.
And right? That's the other thing that I was going to say. Like, I mean, he's a comedian. Like, he's going to go up there and say some crazy, outlandish shit.
Yeah.
And like you kind of understand, at least when you walk into a comedy club, it's like a social contract. Like, I know I'm going to go in there and hear some wild shit.
Right.
This is why I came here. Kind of like when you're going to watch.
Or when you click on a fucking, Dave Chappelle special on Netflix.
Right. And it's like he's been doing it for some time, It's what works for him. And
he's never changed his stance on anything.
Yeah, and like whether he means it or he doesn't, like, and he says it, he's like, with some, I guess, white lady approached him in the parking lot. He's like, I was offended by what you said. And he's like, well, that's not the way I meant it. So fuck you. Like, so you don't know how I meant it.
I know. I think everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know when this happened, but I don't know when everyone decided that they have the right to be comfortable all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
I can only speak from personal experience, but, growing up, there was times where, we were eating food that I didn't want to eat. I was being called things that I didn't want to be called. And, I was excluded from groups that I wanted to be part of. But I just realized, I don't get to do everything I want. So I just moved on and found accepting people. So if you don't like Dave Chappelle making fun of you, don't watch Dave Chappelle. Watch a different comedian who speaks more to your interests. But yeah, man, I don't know when that happened. Like I get it. We don't want hate crimes, right? But that's so far removed from what Dave Chappelle is doing. He's not saying anything hateful. He's saying some inappropriate stuff. But again, he's a comedian.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that people will try to jump down a comedian's throat for like him just trying to be funny. Like, dude, sometimes you try a joke out, it bombs, and then you learn from it. You try to hone your craft. My thing is just like there's politicians saying fucking the same wacky shit, only they have policies that can affect the real world. Like Dave Chappelle, like he made me giggle, but that's about it. He can't go and create laws that's gonna fuck up people's lives. But you got people like Mike Pence or other people who are actually
Donald Trump,
Donald Trump actually doing things like and these guys get a fucking pass.
I don't know. I don't think a comedian shouldn't be able to say whatever. Like he shouldn't be able to incite violence, right? Because that's that's not covered under freedom of speech, right? But everything else is, even if it's an uncomfortable conversation. So if you don't like Dave Chappelle, the way you can voice that is by not watching his content. If enough of people don't watch his content, then, he won't get the huge Netflix deals like he did before, right? Unfortunately, the majority of people love his content and watch it. So, maybe take a look at what yourself and your own self-views and maybe say, hey, maybe I should take things a little less seriously and just let him be a comedian.
Like those bigwigs at Netflix right now, they're just like counting their dollars, like not giving a
Did you hear they suspended people? There was apparently some people who broke into one of their higher up meetings.
I know from what I read in NPR, they were highlighting one trans person because I'm saying person because I don't know which way they identify. Right. They
it's the safest bet.
It's the safest. They barged into a meeting that they obviously were not part of. It was
Yeah.
all the higher execs. I think it was the top 500 employees only.
Men only. I'm just kidding.
Boom, got him. And so
if
they
you enjoyed that joke, watch Dave Chappelle's The Closer on Netflix now.
And I guess they were trying to say that they were banned because they didn't like the content and because they were trying to make a change. And it was just like, no, you were banned. You're temporarily suspended because you barged into a meeting that you weren't part of. So.
Right, with like the top, executives from Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's not the way you handle anything in corporate America. There's channels to go
Yeah.
through.
You write it in letter, and then you eat that shit and you shit it out because it means fucking nothing.
And then you just go about your day.
Yeah, because they're not going to give a
working for
fuck.
the giant company that doesn't give a shit about anybody. Yeah, it's like I'm bummed that people are upset by it, but I'm surprised that people are upset by it too, because all of his other ones had similar tones. And I think you're right, though. I don't think this one is quite as funny as the other ones.
No,
but he has all of these Netflix specials. The Sticks and Stones, the what was the other one he did? I don't remember all the times, but all the Netflix ones. He signed like this huge deal and did like 5 of them. They've all gotten more and more deep and contemplative, right? Where it's not just a bunch of jokes about smoking weed and getting pussy and stuff like that, like he normally does.
no.
He's
move on to Space Jews.
Yeah, that was so good. He's been talking more and more about issues that are important to him, and a big one being race, and how black people are treated in not only this country but around the world, and that's okay. Like, it's important that he is able to voice those opinions, and if he steps on some toes, I think that's okay too.
Well, you're never going to be able to please everyone. That's the
no, 100%. But also, if you go and watch any number of other comedians, there's all sorts of comedians out there who make jokes about other parts of the community, right? There's there's always comedians who talk about Latin people, right? There's people who talk about women. Bill Burr, famously, right? Just shits on women all the time. It's great.
He's so good, though.
It's so funny. So, like, everyone's getting shit on a little bit.
It's specifically white women, we should say.
That's true. Yeah.
Bill Burr specifically goes after white women.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is okay. You're allowed to punch up. And that's where I think Dave Chappelle, where people say, like, where he's punching down.
Right.
And I could see that point. And that's
he brings up that how is he punching down when his people were enslaved for like 200 years or 150 years in this country.
For Cody, it's like give or take. It felt the same for him.
Like, and again, as who I am, I can't understand what either group is going through. So that's all I can really input is that
Cody just gets to stay on the sidelines eating popcorn, just watching the whole shit happen.
I'm just gonna watch. I'm gonna watch every comedy special out there. I watch everyone's comedy special, and I judge it solely on how it makes me feel and how much I laugh. Right? Tom Segura is probably pound for pound my favorite stand-up comedian. Bill Burr, very close second, I'd say.
Louis C.K. until he was fucking squirting everywhere.
I still think Louis C.K. is hilarious. He's an excellent comedian.
You know what? When that happened, and this is maybe bad, like, I don't know what this says about me,
yeah.
But when he got in trouble, I was like, I can finally go see him for cheap.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Ticket price is going to rock bottom. I said the same thing about Cosby. Stop putting on shows, apparently. He was in prison. But yeah, I'd say if you don't like it, the most powerful thing you can do is to not watch it. And that is what Netflix executives understand. If enough people stop watching something, then they stop making it. Like one of my favorite shows, Marco Polo. Remember that show?
I didn't watch it.
Dude, that show was fucking good. But because you didn't watch it, it's not being made anymore.
There you go. It's all me.
There you go. Anyway, enough political talk. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the most political show of all time, Squid Game. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right. Let's take a step away from American politics for a minute and let's go to Korea.
I didn't know people were so broke out there.
Yes, people are broke.
Well, northern obviously, but I didn't think South Korea was.
Yeah, people can make poor financial decisions no matter where you go. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Squid Game, which is the craze that's hitting the Netflix. It's not channels. It's
streaming.
Network. It's
streaming
the most. It's on. It's on its way to being the most watched Netflix program of all time.
Yes.
Like Netflix original, right?
I believe it has been. It passed Stranger Things.
It passed that a long time ago, but it has. Last I had checked, it has not unseated Bridgerton.
It did.
Really?
Yep. Today.
Why is Bridgerton so popular?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
It was a romance one set in like a fictional Old English Victorian era or Edwardian era, I think is the more technical term.
You know, I don't like that stuff. I don't watch the.
Had a really hot dude in it who just kept pulling out from this girl.
Nice.
That was like his move. He didn't want babies, so and she had never had sex before, so she didn't know. She was like, "Is that how it always ends?" He's just like, "Ah!"
Are you making this shit up, or is that?
No, that's 100% in it.
Oh, maybe not. I might watch it.
It's actually a focal point of the plot, so check it out.
It's all about one dude's pull-out game from England.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of it, yeah. Then she finds out that he's not supposed to pull out, that he's doing that because he doesn't want babies. And she's like, nah, I'm going to fucking push in. And she fucking does, so. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Squid Game, which is now the most watched show on Netflix. It's apparently the creator who's, I'm not going to say a bunch of people's names, okay? I'm going to describe them because, hey, that's my own shortcoming. The cultural boundary is just too big for me to get with this little preparation.
Hwang Dong-hyuk.
Hwang Dong-hyuk. So he was the creator, right?
Yes, and director.
So he tried to get it made for like 10 years.
Apparently 4 different production companies turned him away. Imagine how fucking pissed.
He even had to like sell his laptop at one point to get money to pay rent. Because
I was reading that his character was very similar to the main character, where he was broke, he was living with his mom and his grandma and like making no money.
And just being a shitty human being.
And now he's fucking balling out of control
after
he murdered all these people.
Yeah. And so he came up with this thing, this show, and it's just people, it's going like gangbusters. So we're going to be talking about some spoilers, which is, give you that little jive right now. So if you haven't seen Squid Game and you don't want it ruined for you, I would go watch it now. It's 9 episodes long?
9 episodes.
9 episodes long, so pretty short. A simple 9 hours away, and you can watch all of it.
It's actually 9 plus. Not every episode. Some of them were over an hour.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice. So let's get right into it. So the plot of Squid Game is fairly simple and straightforward for the most part. There's a bunch of financially destitute people in Korea, and they are approached by a stranger somewhere, and they are invited into this game where if they go through and survive this game for six games, they win the prize pool at the end, right?
Yeah, so each time there's a big giant piggy bank, and each time someone dies, more money gets deposited into the piggy bank.
Exactly. And so whoever's at the end splits it, right?
Correct.
So the idea is hopefully at the end there'd be one person, right? But, if you split it 2 ways, 3 ways, it's not even that bad. It's still a good chunk of change. And all of the games, each of the rounds is a different children's game. Now, one thing that's super interesting is they're all Korean children's games.
Correct.
So, there's some crossover, like there's Tug of War, right?
And was it Red Light, Green Light?
Red Light, Green Light.
Which I'm sure was called something else, but that was like how they could translate it for
it's
us.
the same deal, though. You know what I mean? But then there's other crazy ones that I've never heard of, like the titular Squid Game.
I'm wondering if that's an actual game or if they made it up for the show.
I'd be interested to know. If we have any Korean listeners out there, let us know. I should have asked my friend Mark's wife. She's Korean. We did ask her about it, but she's like, I don't like violent shows. I'm like, oh, well, great. I should have asked her if Squid Game was real or the honeycomb one. That one was really cool.
I could imagine that being real.
That looked fucking crazy.
It didn't look that hard to me, but when you got the pressure of a fucking like 50 caliber gun pointed at your head.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, I can imagine it being hard.
Exactly. So it starts off and they think like, oh, this is just like, you just have to do these challenges. But then people immediately start getting like blown away, just shot in the face during red light, green light. And they're like, oh, fuck. And so the people putting on this thing have these rules where if more than 50% of the people vote to stop, they'll stop.
Yes.
They'll let them go. Everyone goes along their way. The money is gone. Right. But if less than 50% want to stop, they continue going.
Right. And we should say if they stopped, then all the money that was earned was going to go to all the family of all the people that have died.
Right.
Which that changed a lot of people's minds.
They're like,
which is like, oh, I was like, that's
fuck those guys. Those guys died. They lost.
They fucking lost. They lose and they still win. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. So there's a lot of like moral dilemma in it. Obviously, right. Like one of the craziest moments I think in the show was early on in like the first or second episode where everyone votes like, hey, we want to get out of here. And they're like, okay, no problem. Everyone take off, get out of here. But if you want to come back, you just let us know. And then they kind of return to their lives and they're witnessing again how shitty their lives are. They're like, oh, fuck, this guy's trying to break my knees to get, this money back. Or you're like, oh, I'm going to have to face all these lawyers because I did a bunch of corporate espionage or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it was like 95% of the people that quit like came back.
Yeah,
like
there was like 4 people who were like, dude, fuck that. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. So they all come back and start going through the games again. And slowly but surely, they start whittling down the group. Like every single game, people just get annihilated.
Yep.
And some of the games, they kind of have like teams, like tug of war, right?
That was a good one. I was like, they're fucked. So we're not really talking about the main character, but there's a couple core characters.
Sure.
And the main one who we start off in the beginning is just a garbage person. He's like a fucking he's not paying child support. He like doesn't even remember like the kid's birthday. He's stealing from his mom to go gambling.
Right.
Because he has a bunch of money that he owes these loan sharks. And so that's the main character, which slowly, little by little, you actually start caring for the guy, even though he starts off as a garbage person. And that was all through the kindness he was showing to this old guy who was number 1.
Ooh, number 1. And he was what, like 456 or something like that?
He was the last one, 456.
Yeah. And yeah, and there's this old guy who's like, who looks like he's barely alive. Let's be real.
Brain tumor.
You find out that he has a brain tumor that's causing him like, memory issues and stuff. And, the main character guy is just nice to this old guy, he's just like, oh, we'll get through this. No problem. Just keep going. And
he'll pick him when no one else wanted him. He's just really nice to this fucking guy.
Yeah. But obviously when you're playing to save your own life, like that bites you in the ass, like in the case of, we should mention that
his best friend.
His old childhood friend who was like, he's like the only guy in Korea who actually went to college because everyone like fucking lost their minds about that one.
I think what it was is
oh my god, he went to college.
Well, they're in.
Oh my god,
they're in this contest with a bunch of people who owe a bunch of money who are broke and like usually it's people who have shit situations versus this guy, got out of the shit situation, went to a good school. He was the pride of his neighborhood. And, obviously it comes to a shock, like, why are you here? And it's because he was fucking committing financial crimes and owed millions of dollars. Stuff.
Yeah.
Then they have the thief. There's a girl who's a thief who actually stole the main character's couple million that he won on the horse races.
Yeah. Yeah, she, like, stole from... And she's from North Korea.
Yeah.
She defected and came here with her little brother kind of thing. And obviously, like, her being poor that's not her fault. She was just born in the wrong place.
Technically she wasn't poor. She was trying to get money because her mom was still on the other side and she had to pay smugglers to get her back.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, she's cash poor.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean?
Versus everyone else was like in the red.
Is that liquid right now? Yeah.
And then there was a super sweet fucking sweetheart Indian guy who immigrated there with his fam and he was just trying to win some money, to...
Yeah, he was missing a couple fingers.
Yeah. He was really strong, apparently.
Yeah. He's really strong, but like they just kept mentioning that, just not showing it. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, the one time is like in Red Light, Green Light when the main character...
He like grabs him.
He grabbed and he held him still. So, I mean, that's not an easy fucking thing to hold.
Pretty strong. I mean, and then, everyone's, this, my prediction is this year's Halloween, this is going to be the group costume.
Yeah, actually someone...
Track suits and then shape masks.
A Korean comedian, I haven't seen the TikTok video, but she made a video saying, like, there's probably going to be a lot of people who are going to want to dress up like Squid Game characters, and they're like, and that's okay. That's fine. And I guess she, pretending to be a white person, she dressed up in the outfit and the wig and everything. And she's like, that's okay. And then she did another one, what's not okay, and she kind of, like, taped her eyes to look more slanted. I was like, that's not okay.
Yeah,
that's not okay.
Or putting on brown face to be, what's his face?
The Indian guy.
Yeah. What was his name?
Ali,
yeah. That was really sad when he finally died.
Spoilers.
No, yeah.
I hit the wrong one.
I just got to turn on the volume. No, yeah, we did spoilers already, so this is spoiler filled.
That was actually, like, I kind of knew that the best friend... As soon as when they were playing the sugar game, so what that is it's like melted sugar, and then they put, while it's hot, they put a little shape in it, which was like...
They like stamp it. So there was triangle, umbrella,
circle.
I
think that was it.
Square, maybe?
Yeah, there was a square.
Yeah. So they got progressively harder.
Right.
The more... And the idea is you have to punch out the shape in the middle... Perfectly, without cracking the... sugar comb or honeycomb they called it.
Yeah, but it was just the shape. They didn't give a shit if you broke the outside part. So I kind of knew the best friend was a fucking...
I think you had to... I don't think you could break the outside.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you could.
Ali did bust some of them.
Yeah, you're right.
So they obviously had made a team, him, the best friend, Ali, the old guy, and then eventually the thief would come in.
Yeah.
And, they were all looking to the college grad, what should we do? Like, what's our best bet? And at this point, he had figured out what the game was, but he didn't tell them.
Right.
So instead of picking the easiest shape, like a square or a triangle, he tells them, like, we should all diversify and each pick a different one.
Right.
And I was like, what a garbage person. I was like,
right.
Maybe.
And he goes and picks triangle.
Yeah, and I was like, maybe there's a slight chance that maybe he didn't know exactly what the game was, but that gets confirmed later on. He's like, oh no, he's a real fucking garbage person.
Yeah, he almost stopped the main character dude. He's like, hey, wait a minute. He's like, what? He's like, never mind. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. And that was
like,
his best friend.
What the fuck? Yeah. So yeah, he was a real garbage person for sure, and you see more of that as it goes on. And
particularly, it was the marbles game where Ali was fucking winning.
Yeah, so
he didn't even like the fact that he was winning.
And another cool thing about the show is as it goes on, like the choices that you have to make get worse and worse and worse, right? So like, in the early games, if you fuck up, it's on you, right? Yep. And if someone else fucks up, that's on them. You're not causing anyone else to die, and you're just responsible for yourself. But then they start teaming up, right? Where you have like tug of war, right? Was a very good one where, you have to build a team, and if your whole team does good, they all live. If you if you win, you've just killed that other team.
Yep.
Right. And then it comes down to the marble game where you play any game of marbles you want. It's a team of two, but whoever loses the game gets killed.
Yep.
So everyone. They don't know what the game is going into it. They say, hey, you just have to find a team of two. So everyone picks someone they like or someone they've aligned with.
Dude, the fucking married couple.
Yeah. The married couple. So the married couple had to do it. And the guy ended
the
up
husband
winning,
won.
Right? Yeah.
Which we don't know. They didn't show whether, like, she gave up or...
She was just fucking shit at marbles.
or she would just suck
at
fucking
marbles. Butterfingers. She's like, I'm trying to give this to you, but you really suck. He's like...
I mean, he hung himself after. He felt too guilty about it.
Yeah.
But that was a shitty...
When you're that close to the end, what are you doing?
But there was
buy a new wife with all that money, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how many 4 billion Korean dollars is, but it's got to be at least like 500 grand, right?
I did look up how much the...
it was a few million.
I did look up how much, because the best friend was like 30,000 million won, I believe. And I think that ended up being like 5 million in US dollars.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 million or something like that.
And it was funny because as I was typing in the amount and I typed in won, is like, how much is this? I was like, oh, so many people have
Googled
so many
people have Googled it. Like, what are they playing for $50? We don't know. You know, it's like it could be like the Italian lira. Remember that?
Yeah.
How people would like bring their paychecks home in wheelbarrows because it was so
Worthless.
shitty.
But yeah, the marble game, like the main character picked the old guy because no one wanted to work with the old guy because apparently everyone here thought it was a working together. And
Right.
so the best friend, he says, I'm super smart, and he picked Ali, you're super strong. Together we can figure this shit out. Until they had to play, and Ali was just fucking winning. And dude, Ali wasn't even happy about winning. Like at this
Right.
point, he thought this dude was his friend.
Right.
Until this fucking bastard mind Jedi fucked him,
Yeah, he filled his bag with rocks and stole the marbles from him.
and then they fucking murdered him.
Ali.
So fucked up.
And then the old guy, like he's having like memory issues, and he's like tripping out and like staring off into nothing. And the other guy's like, "Fuck, man, come on, we have to play." And he's like, "I think I live around here." And he's just like wandering around. He's like,
Yeah.
"No, come on, we have to play, otherwise they'll kill us both." And then so finally he just starts like he starts like taking advantage. He's like, "I don't remember. Did I say odd or even or whatever?"
Well, in the beginning, the old man was winning, and
Yeah.
he had the main character by one marble
Right.
left. And that's when the main character... But you can tell he wasn't happy. Like, the old man says, oh, I don't remember. What did you say, odd or even? And the main character would lie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it took him a while, but he was like, I have to do this, otherwise I'm going to get killed. Which, like, look, in that kind of game, you got to do that. You know what I'm saying?
not only that...
The Ali thing is fucked up because, like, I don't know. But if there's an old dude who's, like, forgetting where he is,
like, you lived your life.
I have so much more life to live. You know what I'm saying? That guy is obviously fucked up. But then he, like, calls him on it. He's like, oh, you think it's cool lying to your friend? He's like, oh, fuck. Sorry.
But the old man sacrificed himself, and he gave him the last marble. He didn't make him play him for it. He just gave it. So at that point, the old guy just chose. He's like, all right,
Yeah.
I've accepted
There's
this.
a reason why he chose.
Hell yeah.
He was a fucking snake in the grass. Yeah. So my favorite part about this show is there's a bunch of people I know who are watching it after me, like my friend Anthony and his wife Jules. We were talking about that. We went to a wedding together this weekend, and they're like, "Oh, we have like 2 episodes left." Oh, I was so sad when Ali and the old guy died. I'm like,
Well,
Like, yeah.
with the old guy, not with Ali.
yeah. They're like, the old guy was my favorite. I'm like, oh yeah, he was my favorite too. And I'm just like sitting there like, I can't wait till they find out. Like he was basically one of the guys behind the whole thing.
I think he was the mastermind who came up with the game. He wasn't the game master who was like...
That was so we didn't even talk this whole time. There's an undercover police officer who's infiltrated the game
'Cause he's
looking
looking
for his brother.
yeah.
His brother disappeared however long ago.
Now, which I thought this was weird, because when he went to go look for his brother, it was at a college dorm, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I believe it was a college dorm because, like, whatever the...
Maybe those are just houses in Korea
I felt like...
or like a small apartment.
I feel like the landlord has said he hasn't been to his classes.
Maybe he went back to school.
Maybe.
Okay.
It-
Maybe he's
the
trying
only
to get his
reason-
life together.
The only reason I'm
That's
bringing
why
that
he's so
up-
broke. Crippling student debt.
The
There's
only
a
reason,
message there.
the only reason I'm bringing it up is because his brother was looking for him, and when he finds him, he ends up being older. Like, he's
Right.
older than the fucking detective.
Yeah. And what was crazy about that too is he had won the game.
Yeah. Like 5 years back.
5 years back or something like that, and he had taken over. He became the I forget what they called him.
I don't know. I called him Game Master.
Game Master, or whatever. He had some like title.
But front man.
Front man.
Not what I thought it would be.
Yeah, he had like all the employees at this place wear like basically circles, triangles, or squares on their masks.
I don't remember the hierarchy, but there was...
I think squares were like the leaders. Triangles, I think, were the soldiers who had like the weapons and stuff, and I think circles were like the bottom bitch.
See, but sometimes I did see...
I could have that wrong.
I thought that too, but sometimes I would see like the bottom one with the gun. I'm like, oh... Like, maybe it's just ranking. Like, one
Those
gets
are
to
like
tell the other one what
Those
to
are like
do.
trainees or something.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, once he found, I think it was the square mask. Maybe it was the triangle.
Doesn't matter.
Once he found the second mask, everyone's like, oh, do whatever he says. So that was really interesting, seeing him uncover this. And then you see that there's like, hey, you know, if we want to talk about racial profiling, notice how all the shitty rich guys who came to bet on who would live and die were all white guys.
There was one Japanese guy.
There was one Japanese guy. Yeah. The Koreans hate the Japanese.
There was one Japanese guy.
They're like, oh, they're all white guys and this one Japanese dude. Basically like these rich VIPs come and bet on it, and they were using like people as furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
Very weird stuff. I thought for a minute that undercover cop was going to suck that dude's dick.
Man,
I mean, how deep a cover do you want to go under? You know
I mean, he didn't want to die.
Yeah, it's like, well, I love my brother. Then when he finds out he's got the dude, I sucked a dude's dick. What the hell, man? Why?
Fucking took a shot in the mouth.
Yeah, I was trying to find you. I sucked a dude's dick to find you. Yeah, that would be, I wouldn't do that to find you. I'm sorry. Well, guess I can't find him.
Yeah.
Hope he won.
Like, I like though that you would go up to the dick sucking.
Yeah, I would.
You go that far.
I would sneak in. I would do a little bit better research as far as like finding out which guy to impersonate, because he found like one of like 4 dudes in the entire complex who had an underground organ harvesting business going on.
That was interesting. Like when he was getting into the van, and I was like, I was like at first, he's a cop. He just knocked that dude out. Like, no, he choked that guy to death.
He fucking murdered him.
Threw him over the boat, and I'm like, pretty sure a cop can't do that.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure, but
things are different in Korea, bro. You can do whatever you want. Apparently you can carry a gun, but one chamber has to be empty and one has to be a blank. I mean, we joke about it, but maybe we should do that here in America.
Maybe that's the warning shot. You just freak them out, and
maybe that would save a lot of people. Just click. Maybe I shouldn't shoot them. Nah, I'm gonna shoot them. Bah! It's like, I really shouldn't have shot him. Oh, thank God for that empty one in the blank.
Maybe just circling back to Dave Chappelle in his last special. What is it? It used to be salt, or was it pepper, salt, or was it like one is assault just to like you hit them with it so they don't stop.
Yeah, with the shotgun.
Yeah,
you're just gonna pepper them.
Yeah,
with bird shot.
I think one of them he said was salt shot.
Pepper.
I don't know.
What do you mean? And then he was like, then you have bird shot, or you have slugs. Now slugs will kill a man. Bird shot or slugs?
I think he took the slug, didn't he?
He took a box of each. I think he put like 2 bird shot in one, and then the slug, because he wanted to pepper him first with the crackheads. Get out of here, crackheads! Dude, that was my favorite Dave Chappelle special for sure.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it went from like that was hilarious, and then like this one not so much.
This was very, very serious. There's still some good stuff in there for sure, but definitely more of one of his, message-filled ones for sure.
All right, we got away from Squid Game.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a big reveal that the old man was the puppet master for the whole thing. He had started it, and he wanted, he really was on his way out dying, but he wanted to like play in the games.
Right. It was
unclear if I don't remember if he always played in the game.
No,
this was just like his last hurrah kind of thing.
It was in the speech. He said that like being a spectator is one thing, but it's not like being in there with the risk and playing the game.
Right.
Which it still wasn't much of a risk.
Wasn't much of a risk. Yeah.
Other than tug of war,
dude. Or tug of war. Or red light, green light, for that matter. I mean, I guess they could like shoot blanks and you could fall down, but
yeah.
But I mean, still, like they were just openly killing people.
That was interesting. The strategy for tug of war. I wonder if that's real. I wonder if it would work.
Yeah.
But when they went up there, because they had 2 girls and an old guy, and they were like, "We're
and then
fucked."
Some randos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that was all Ali. That's where they.
That's why he was so strong.
Yeah, because he pulled everyone.
He helped everyone. There's also we didn't talk about like the shithead faction, where it was like that one dude who's like the gangster guy, and then like the crazy bitch. Like
he had the tattoo from like the guy from The Simpsons, the fucking snake thing on him.
Like it was probably covering up a dick that got tattooed on his face at one point, But yeah, he was just a piece of shit the whole time and made all these alliances and would cheat and stuff like that. And then that one crazy lady, she aligned herself to him because like he was strong and she wanted to survive, obviously. Like bangs him in the bathroom randomly.
Yeah, and she thought that he'd be in love. I was like, nah, man,
I'm scared and horny. I just needed to relax a little bit.
She did warn him. She said, if you betray me, I'll kill you.
Yeah, and she did.
She fucking did.
On the weird glass bridge thing. That's a weird children's game.
I didn't think about that. I wonder
Maybe like the floor is lava.
Yeah, but how would you know without marking it? I didn't think about that, like how that's a children's game.
I don't know. Korea's weird. They just have broken glass everywhere. Did you notice that from the beginning, all of the games were painted on the walls?
So the missus caught that. I didn't see it till the end.
I caught it like halfway through. I started. It was like they showed a bed up against a wall, and I saw the like tug of war or something behind it, or the umbrella. Once you see that, once you see the umbrella, you're like, oh fuck, I know what that's all about. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, it was a great show. They definitely set it up for a season 2. Now, what do you think season 2 is going to be about?
I don't think the cop is dead. I don't think the cop is dead because he got hit in the shoulder. He could have survived.
It was his brother.
It was his brother.
Yeah.
The other route.
I think him and the winner dude are going to team up and try to infiltrate.
So I was actually reading an article about it where the writer and creator said he left it. Like, people are saying, like, so we should say the main character was about to get on a plane to go see his kid because now he has money.
And red hair.
And, yeah, that was so weird. I hate it. Because he looked cool with this wacky hair. And then, like, I don't know why he fucking...
Yeah, he would look cool with just a haircut. You know what I mean? Just like, but, man, he went, like, full K-pop.
Yeah, it was weird.
BTS.
It made him look older. It definitely made him look a lot older.
Yeah, he's like an old dude with a 20-year-old's haircut.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. Okay. But anyway, so he turns around...
Maybe that's what I would do with $5 million.
I don't know.
I would get rid of some of these gray hairs in my beard. That's for sure. I mean, I could do that for like $20 at Walgreens too.
Oh, so I should say that before he gets on the plane, he sees the original guy who kind of pulled him into the game.
Yeah, one of the recruiter guys.
And he saw that he was trying to recruit another guy, and he takes the card from that guy. He's like, "Don't fucking do it," because obviously he knows what's gonna fucking happen. Mm-hmm. So he calls the number, and they ask him to say his name and his date of birth if he wants to join. And he just says, like, no, I'm not a horse. I'm a person, and I can't forget what you guys did. It wasn't a nightmare.
Yeah, and then he says his name.
Yeah, he says his name. He's like, just get on the plane. Don't do anything stupid. And then you see him turn around. Now, the writer and creator said, like, I left it ambiguous because people were saying, like, oh, he's going to go and try to stop them. He said, not necessarily. Maybe he just decided, like, he's not going on the plane. So, right. But, I mean, obviously, I feel like he's going to try.
Maybe he's like, my ex-wife doesn't know I'm rich.
He's
I ain't trying to pay that alimony. Fuck that. Start a new family here in Korea.
I thought it was pretty funny when they called him into the bank because they were like, hey, your money's in a savings account. It's not earning much. Like, maybe you should invest it. And he just didn't say anything. He's like, can I borrow, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
wasn't it like
can I borrow
$20?
$10 or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
millionaire.
I guess. That's a real manager right there. Bending over backwards for someone who has $1 million. Yeah,
so, or it could be a new set of players, but we already know the games.
Well, who says that they're the same games all the time, right? I think that, like, they could, if they wanted to, they could really milk this thing, and like every season's a new set of people, but there's maybe a holdover from the previous season, like. So the survivor dude and the cop, maybe they both come back and they're trying to take down this thing. Find out who all the VIP guys are and stuff. But in the meantime, there's a whole new group of players, and we're following their stories. But instead of seeing the cop infiltrated in the background, we see the two of them working to find out the history of the game. Or maybe we see a prequel of how the game got started, with the old man, I think there's a lot of ways they could go about it. And I'm excited to see what they do.
I mean, they're definitely going to do something because, like, what it cost Netflix to do it, I believe it was like $212 million for like all of them, which Netflix was paying like triple that for like one episode of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So they made a huge fucking return on their investment.
Oh, for sure. And again, being the most watched, like, people are going to be itching for season 2,
The only thing is, like, where I would feel a little bit of a concern is like how fast they're going to try to do it.
Right.
Because people are going to want to see it soon. Like, I hope it doesn't affect the quality of the show.
Well, yeah, I wonder if the creator guy, if he had in mind a second season, because I feel like a show like that, as great as it was, there's not a huge amount of like production design stuff, not a crazy location. You just put that thing in a warehouse And like that's most of where you're filming. You know what I mean?
And I also did want to say the main character from Train to Busan was in it. He was the recruiter guy. And he was awesome, which I loved him in Train to Busan. I was like, and once he came out, I was like, oh, I love this guy. Like, I hope to see it. And he's just like, nah, he had a very minor part.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
That game was hilarious, too. So basically...
you have like 2 like envelopes, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like folded pieces of paper, and one's on the ground, and you throw the other one on the ground and try to flip the paper that's on the ground.
It's like Pogs.
Something like that.
Remember that? Remember Slammers?
Actually, yeah, no, it was like exactly like Pogs. And then...
Korean Pogs.
So the main character... You know, or the recruiter guy tells him, if you flip it over, you get 100,000. He's like, okay. He's like, but if you don't, you owe me 100,000.
He's like, I don't have 100,000.
Yeah, and he's like, all right, let's just play. First time, fucking loses, and he's like, you can pay me back the 100,000 if you let me slap you.
Yeah,
he fucking just slapped the shit out of him, and that went like 10 rounds or something without winning
so many
one.
Rounds.
Then he finally wins one. And, like, he raises the main character raises down to slap the shit out of him. I'm like, what are you doing? So you're going to lose your money.
Yeah.
But luckily the recruiter stops him. And he's like, hey.
Nah, here's your money. Yeah. And then here's the card that's going to ruin your life.
Yeah, but that part was fucking hilarious. We tried to slap the shit. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Well, he's not the smartest guy, obviously. Yeah, you know, it's a great show. It definitely has, like, hints of, like, the Battle Royale. If you haven't seen that movie's awesome. But Battle Royale is like the inspiration for Hunger Games, essentially, where it's people killing each other in a Battle Royale for prize money, essentially, or the right to live forever. So I think it's got some of those vibes to it, but a new, fresh twist on it. And, if you haven't seen it and you still listen to all of this, it's still worth the watch, even though you know a lot of the stuff that's going to happen. I think, I'm looking forward to a season 2. I have no doubt in my mind that there will be.
For sure.
If not season 3 and 4, we'll see how it goes, But, I'm expecting great things from Squid Game. So check it out, guys. Let us know down in the comments, what was your favorite game, or what game hit you the hardest on Squid Game?
It's interesting, and I looked it up because I kept saying Squid Games, too, and I've noticed a lot of people saying Squid Games, but it's actually Squid Game.
Squid Game. Yeah. I think I've probably said it both throughout this entire podcast. But yeah, let us know what your favorite game was from the Squid Game. Was it, red light, green light? That was pretty epic, for sure. Was it the sugar comb thing? Was it the glass bridge thing, tug of war, Squid Game, or marbles? Let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear what your favorite was. And if you want to find out where to watch the show and you're somehow listening to this without knowing, you can check out nerdswithfriendspodcast.com. All of our social media info is on there. We do appreciate you visiting there. You can drop us a line there too. Email us if you don't like to do the social medias. If you want to become a patron of this show, give us some money so we don't have to sign up for Squid Game, because we're close. We're close
Getting
to
there.
signing up. I mean, I'm like this far from murdering Christian for money. You can become one of our patrons by going to patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. And thank you to the patrons who are keeping us out of the poorhouse and out of the Squid Game. Your names are raising up right here. We do appreciate you guys. And, if at the very least you can like and subscribe, because that's free. Doesn't take any sort of financial burden on your part. Just click the button. And if you don't, for that free action, you're kind of a dick.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Christian, thank you as always. And I'm glad you enjoyed Squid Games as much as I did.
It was dope.
It was super dope. To all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you, and good night.